I have to be honest, when I first saw the source material for this deep dive, I almost just closed the tab.
I can see why.
The hegemonic stress tensor. I mean, it sounds like we're about to fix a warp drive on a starship, not talk about psychology.
It is a heavy title, but if you strip away the sci-fi naming, this is actually a manual on mental engineering.
Mental engineering.
Yeah, it's asking a really practical question. Is your worldview structurally sound? Or is it going to collapse the moment reality, hits it hard?
So less quantum physics, more like a building inspector for your brain.
That's it, exactly.
Mm.
The core premise is that beliefs aren't just these abstract thoughts floating around. They have actual mass inside your mind.
Like they take up space.
And just like a bridge has a weight limit, your worldview has a limit to how much complexity and contradiction it can hold before it starts to crack.
Okay, so let's get into the blueprints then. The source talks about these conceptual bricks, the basic unit of any idea, and it breaks them down into 4 coordinates. Will and morality seem pretty straightforward to me. Basically, how much you want something and who it helps.
Sure.
But the other 2, chi and strain, felt a little more abstract.
Let's break those down. Think of chi simply as the total mass of what you truly know, your existing solid knowledge base.
Okay.
But strain is the really critical one. Strain is the tension between your idea and objective reality.
So if I believe something that just doesn't line up with facts.
You're introducing high strain. You have to actively exert force to keep that belief in place. It's unstable.
Which brings us to the actual construction materials. The text makes this big distinction between fired bricks and igneous stones.
It's a great metaphor.
It feels like one for easy versus hard truths.
It's really the difference between manufacturing and mining. Fired bricks, those are your assumptions.
Baked by the ego, it says.
Baked by the ego. They're uniform, identical, and because they're so perfectly square, you can stack them incredibly fast. You can build a huge tower of knowledge really, really quickly with those.
Because they fit the narrative you already have. No gaps.
Right, but they're brittle. They just shatter under real pressure. Now compare that to igneous stones.
These are direct observations of reality.
Yes, and they aren't pretty. They're these irregular, heavy chunks of granite. You can't just stack them. You have to chisel them and fit them together, almost like a masonry puzzle.
So it takes, 10 times longer to build a worldview out of reality
Yeah.
than it does out of just assumptions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once those stones lock in, they are indestructible.
Okay, but how do we even get these materials? This is where the source uses that word Quistoscropy.
Sounds made up, I know.
It reminded me of a web crawler, actually.
That's a perfect analogy. Imagine your consciousness is a bot just scraping the web of reality. It's scanning for truth. The text calls it collapsing potential truths into fixed points.
And as it scrapes, it sorts that data into 6 buckets, or attractors.
Greater good, lesser good, personal preference, and, their opposites.
But here's the part that worried me a bit. The source implies that if you don't have enough chi, enough internal density, you can't actually use those buckets correctly.
This is the renting versus owning insight.
Right.
If you haven't done the work to truly understand a topic, if your internal mass is low, you can't really encompass that attractor point, so you just end up adopting someone else's sorted pile.
You're just renting their opinion.
You're renting it because you can't afford to build your own.
And I'm guessing that leads directly to the failure state you mentioned earlier, the collapse.
It's inevitable if you build with those fired bricks. As you learn more, you add complexity. Complexity adds weight, and if your foundation is just these ego-baked assumptions, the gravity of new information eventually just crushes it.
The text mentions a lensing effect happening right before the collapse, and this sounded almost terrifying, like a hallucination.
It's a distortion, a severe one. When the ego is at the center of your map, it acts like a warped lens. It literally inverts reality.
So things appear as their opposite.
Yes, the text describes it so vividly. Things like greed start to look like strength, or service to other people starts to look like a burden.
Because you're looking at everything through the lens of, how does this serve me, instead of what is actually true.
That's the entire perspective error. The focal length is just wrong. And the only way to fix it is to increase the density of your knowledge, to rely on those heavy, irregular igneous stones.
It really changes how you look at arguments. We tend to judge people by what they think. This suggests we should be judging the structural integrity of how they got there.
It's the ultimate stress test for an idea. I think we all need to walk around our own mental towers and, kick the tires.
Are we maintaining a lie, or are we standing on a foundation that doesn't need us to defend it?
Exactly.
Well, that's the challenge for you listening. Take one of your strongest beliefs, one you feel really protective of, and apply a little bit of that strain. Test it against reality. If you hear a cracking sound, you might just be standing on a fired brick.
And it might be time to swap it out for some granite.
Thanks for taking the plunge with us. We'll see you in the next deep dive.